Aloha Manga Club. Last week you saw my monthly manga haul, which means that it is time for my manga collector tip video. Now this is a project that I've had in the makings for about 3 to 4 months and something that I've been working on overall for about 9 to 10, so it has seen many evolutions. And that is how I track what is on my shelves and what I have read throughout my entire manga history. Now I'm currently using Google Spreadsheets because it is easy to organize and honestly really easy to use. But in the past, I did use Microsoft Word to try to type up everything and do what I could, but it is an absolutely terrible system compared to what I have now. So without further ado, let's go take a look at it. What do you know, my snaps are getting so powerful that it changes my head wraps, changes my shirts, and my location, but more importantly, it has transported us into my computer so I can show you my spreadsheet. Now, this is an interesting spreadsheet for me because I really enjoy making them, and this was something a little bit different. So I have 2 separate tabs on this specific document. I have the manga spreadsheet, so that covers everything that I've read in my entire life that I can possibly remember, and that includes just even if I read 1 chapter. And then I have the on my shelf tab, and that shows, well, what's on my shelves. So let's talk about the columns that I have on the manga spreadsheet tab along with why I have them, and then I will kind of show you how I made this. So if you take a look right over here, it is the title. That should be pretty self-explanatory. It's the title of the manga series. So let's move over to column number 2, column B, and that is the demographic. So I call it the demographic, just the easiest way to remember. Basically, is it a shonen, seinen, a josei, manhwa? And the reason why I've actually done this is it lets me kind of see what I really am drawn towards, along with some things that really help me figure out what a series is all about. I mean, it's pretty basic, and the next column dives into it a lot more, but the demo is a pretty easy way to sort through things. So next we have the genre. So what does it fall underneath? And on here, I actually have a few different descriptors. So I have AD for adventure, ACT for action. I also have M for mature, D for drama, and T for terror or horror, along with SP and SPT for sport. Now, this is a pretty easy way to categorize things, and if you hadn't guessed, most of mine fall in the AD adventure and AC for action. This also really lets me expand and see what genres hold the most sway in my, long career of reading things. Next, we have whether or not this series has been completed. Now, this does not mean whether or not I have completed the series. This means whether or not the author is done with the story. This is really important because it lets me know if I can go back and reread it or if I'm going to have to do some catching up. It really lets you plan out your reading. Now, the volume directly next to that is the volumes. And this is super important for a collector. Now, I have not gone into whether or not these are translated into English. This is just the total number of Takuban volumes available for it in the world. Again, this is important because, let's use, right here, Bad Company as an example. There's 1 volume. As a collector, you are going to be purchasing that singular volume. But then let's take a look right over here for Air Gear. Now, Air Gear has 37 separate volumes. That's going to be an investment in your collection. So take that as you will. This is a great way to figure out, what's completed, and how many volumes you are going to have to collect. Now we move on to column F, and this is whether or not there was any adaptations. This includes light novels, this includes anime, this includes video games. So this is a very wide array, and this lets you know that if you, again, as a series collector, if you want to add something on to a series that you love, this is where you can kind of look to see, all right, I got to look for some more things by this series. I know, it's a little ridiculous, and honestly, I'm not entirely sure if this fits in with everything else on my personal spreadsheet, so I may be taking it out in the next few weeks, but it's a nice little knowledge to have. So columns, right over here, author and illustrator, are exceedingly important because when you organize it by this, you can see which authors really pull you in and make you love the world that they create. If you take a look on the author and illustrator down here, you'll see that there's a lot of Itagaki in mine, and that is because he's created the Baki series, and I absolutely adore that manga, if you couldn't tell from my previous videos on it. This also, let's just do a quick example. We're going to organize a sheet by A to Z, and look, Akira Toriyama, you can just see who's created what, and it gives you an idea of where things should be. Now over here is the most important column, and this is the Lohali approved column. This lets me know whether or not it's worth my time to go back and read. This column is created in such a way that D means no, I really doubt I'm going to go back and read it. H is highly not available. I've either not completed the series or I really don't have an opinion. The Y is yes. As you can tell, there are a ton of Ys on my columns along with a lot of highlies because there are a ton of series that I love. These next two columns right here, the reread and the you should read, hello Smokey, are part of my tracking system for which videos I should make for all of you. This, when I organize it properly, you'll see, which series I have reread the first chapter of, and it really lets me organize everything so I can better create videos for you as an audience, for you as my friends. And these two columns, they might change later on in the future. I might add another one depending on how I expand. I might do a character column right over here on the side. Now, this is an important one because, again, it lets me track what I've done. But let's move to tab number 2, the On My Shelf tab. This is a lot more cut and dry. However, I think it is just as important, if not more important. So if you take a look right over here, I have the manga title, which has stayed. I have whether or not the series is completed, meaning, am I going to be able to complete the series on my shelves, or is it going to be something that I struggle with in the future? Now, I think this is, again, important as a collector, so you know just how long it's going to take you to collect. Right next to that is the third most important column, and that is the total number of volumes that a series has with itself. Now, when you were looking through this, it's important to note that, there we go, that the way that I've organized it, and there's some filling in that I have to do right down here, but the way that I've organized it really lets me see just how expensive it's going to be. Some of these I've messed up on, and some of them I've actually gotten instead of the 4 volumes like What's in Planets. I got the 2 omnibus volumes, so it's completed. So I actually do need to change that, and then I will change the color to this darker gray right here. Now, the most important column that I have found out is volumes owned. Now, I'm going to change it alphabetical just so you can see, but the reason why this is such an important thing is I have had a problem in the past repurchasing specific volumes, and this quickly and easily lets me see what basically I don't have to rebuy. It especially is important when you get down to right here because, as you can tell, all of these volumes are scattered around, meaning that I have repurchased a couple One Piece volumes. I've repurchased let's see, I think a Ray volume or 2, and it's just the best way for me to save money that I have found. But the most fun column, and the most annoying for Sydney, is this little guy right here, the number owned. And I'll actually show you how to do this. What I did was create basically a function for the spreadsheet that shows, if I own one volume over here, and it adds everything up until you get to this nice little digit right here, 526. And honestly, if I'm going to be completely transparent, I've added over 106 volumes of manga in the past 4 months, basically since my collection video, which is just insane. But this is a cool little marker, and it's not terribly important, but I like it. So if you've noticed a few separate things about this, you'll see that this top right here on both the manga spreadsheet and the On My Shelf is frozen into place, and if I were to scroll side to side, the manga title is also going to stay in place. The reason that I've done this is so that when you scroll up and down and move side to side, you're not really guessing what's where, and it creates a nice, clean, and clear spreadsheet. Let me show you how to do that really quick, just so when you do your own, it's pretty basic. So you come over to here, highlight the column by clicking on this. So when you highlight it, you're going to go up to the very top, you're going to go to View, you're going to freeze, and then it's going to say no rows, 1 rows, 2 rows, and then up to current row. Now, I like to keep it just like this, so it'll say 2 rows, which is what I have it at. It gives you, again, a nice, crisp, and clean. Now, if you want to do the column, you basically do the same thing in reverse. You just click this full column, and it'll highlight right there. Then you'll go to View, freeze, 1 row, 2 row, no columns. Then you click 1 column, because that's just the way that I like it. So that's how I've freezed everything. Now let's say that you wanted to create the sum over here. So the easiest way to do a sum is when you come over here, you click your starting row, you scroll all the way down, you press Shift and highlight the last row that you want to do. Then you come over here to Insert, you insert a function, go to Math, scroll down until you find Sum right here, and this will pop up. And it will say, basically, you want to do cells E5 through E68 or E3 through E68. You will click Enter, and that function will give you this bad number right there. The easiest way to insert something into there is just by clicking here, Insert Above. You'll get a blank spot, and you will not mess up your function. So let's type in 100, and boom, look, the number has become 626. Now delete this row because you really don't want to mess it up and annoy Sydney. There are a few more things that you could do with the spreadsheet. Like I know Yomu Yokai has done the publisher. She's done who she has lent the volumes out to, and she's made it really colorful. Like it is an absolutely beautiful spreadsheet, and it's so well done. I cannot even say enough good things. I like mine to be plain and simple. I don't lend my volumes out to really anybody because there's no one around me that would borrow them. So I've kept mine specifically for myself. Now, if you want to see how to create your own spreadsheet from scratch, you can find videos all over YouTube. If not, I will give you an absolutely what I think is a decent template that you can follow. But other than that, let's get back to regular Lohali. We are back, and that is how I track everything that I have read and everything that I own. There are a few more evolutions, like I said, that I want to take, but the way this has progressed over the last few months is really, really fun for me because I just love spreadsheets overall. If you want to see another video on spreadsheets, take a look at Yomu Yokai's, linked right up there at the top. If you want the template for how I utilize mine, check the description box down below. Or if you just want to have access to mine so you can see what I'm currently reading and what I'm adding to my shelves, that's also right down there. For everyone new and old, welcome and welcome back. It's your boy Lohali, signing out.